Excuse my setup. I'm literally sitting on the floor. I mean, I'm always sitting on the floor. But I mean, like in the hallway, which is a little stranger. And I've just placed these flowers on the floor with me because I think they look kind of good, maybe. Maybe take them back a little bit. These are actually my birthday flowers from myself. Yeah, it's my birthday today. I'm turning 23. It's like 7:40 in the evening. I just got home like an hour ago. I've just been working on dinner and stuff. So, hence the darkness, hence the weird setup. It's a lot. 22 was a very strange year for me. It was a good year. I did some great things. I made some good friends. I studied some interesting things. I did a lot of good things, right? But it was also a fucking terrible year. I don't want to like get into it here, but it was a lot of bad aspects to the year as well. So it's just a strange year to think about because I remember all the good things, but also remember all the bad things, all the terrible things. And I reckon that's just, how life is. You can't, expect yourself to have the perfect year without nothing going wrong. It's just that this year too many big things went wrong. And I'm pissed still. But I did read some great books at age 22, so I wanted to just talk a little bit about my top 5 favorite books. I don't want... That's so annoying. Can you hear that? That's the bathroom. Hold on. The toilet. Maybe our time has come. Maybe we're all wrong. I just want to talk about 5 books that sort of defined my reading year. Books that I just haven't stopped thinking about since I actually read them. And I probably could have put some more here, but I didn't want it to be like an uneven number because don't think I would have been able to get up to 10 books. But these are like definitely the 5 books that I haven't been able to stop thinking about ever since. Let's start with the one that I know for sure that I read last year in 2017. Call Me By Your Name by Andrei Aciman. Is it Aciman or is it Akiman? Essentially about, I think you've heard of it, it's about a boy named Elio who starts a romance with an older guy named Oliver because Elio's family has they have a guest room or something and guests come over for 6 weeks in the summer to sort of work on, I don't know, their dissertation or something like that, and in order to be able to stay there they have to help Elio's father with things. Stop. A lot of controversy is surrounding this story in general right now, especially because the movie came out. I read the book before I watched the movie, and I definitely think the movie influenced the way I still think about this book because I love the movie so much, and obviously I keep thinking about the book and comparing it and what I remember of this book. I struggled with this book a little bit actually. I felt like we were so stuck in Elio's head for such a big part of the book, and I just wanted to be in a scene that wasn't just in Elio's head, and of course we were in Elio's head. This is definitely him retelling it all. At one point, at certain points, I just wanted to be in the scene and not in the memories, if that makes sense. I still really liked it. I still love that bookshop part when they're in Rome. I love that part so much. It was so random. I thought the language was beautiful. The story is beautiful. I understand that it's problematic. I understand, but I'm not here to talk about that right now. I just want to talk about the fact that this book, I read it in October, I think, last year, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it ever since. That's what I want to talk about. I think I'm gonna go in chronological order. That's a weird word. Edgar Allan Poe, this is his complete poetry. But I'm not gonna talk about all of the poems, all the poems. I want to talk about The Raven because I think I read this collection this year, but I read The Raven last year, aka I listened to The Raven last year. Basically, Christopher Lee has this really, really great sort of performance, like narration of it on YouTube, where he just reads the story, the poem, and it's just wonderful. He does it so well, and I find myself just returning to that audio clip all the time. Like, I have to listen to it at least a few times every like few months. I'm like relatively new to poetry, especially older poetry that's like harder to grasp and comprehend and like find the rhythm and stuff. So the fact that I was able to listen to this, to The Raven, not the whole thing, to The Raven, and have it be so captivating meant a lot to me. It's about like a man who, like, he gets visited by a raven in the middle of the night, and the raven is like, nevermore, and whatnot. I don't know. It's about death and stuff. I think it's harder to explain poems than explain like novels. Next up we have Karismasamhället by Elis Burå. I think in a previous video I called him Elis Burau because that's how you spell his name, but I recently went to a release thing for a journal that I'm published in and he's published in. So he was like introduced at one point because he was gonna read something, and they called him Elis Burå. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Anyway, kind of a tangent. This is one of the first books I read this year. And it's essentially about this group of youths, sort of, and like just their lives. Like, it's very abstract, it's hard to explain. Very, like, special in the way it's written. I really loved it. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it, evidently. And I really, really want to reread it, like, yesterday. So next up we have If We Were Villains by Emma Rio. I read this summer, I think in June, possibly May or June. I actually didn't read this copy. This is like a brand new copy that I purchased myself because I read it from the library. Anyway, that's why I don't have like any tabs or why it looks like clean and unused, because it is. This is a book about a group of students who are studying Shakespeare in university, and it's sort of about that whole thing and like what happens to them, and maybe a murder takes place, maybe. How do you explain this book, honestly? It starts by the main character like being released from jail for he's been in jail for 10 years or something, and it starts with him like getting released, and he's sort of explaining what happened to this cop, and we get to see everything from the beginning, and it's stunning. The language and the writing style, oh my god, I can't explain this book. It's I haven't been able to stop thinking. Favorite scene in here is the Macbeth scene for sure. If you read it, you know what I mean. It's hard to explain. Like, these kids, I say kids, I mean, they are younger than me, I think. I'm 23 now, so, you know. These kids, people, students, humans, they are just flawed, but they are, like, this group is so tightly knit that, you know, the fact that whatever goes down is, like, terrifying. I'm not gonna say more. You're gonna have to read it because you need to make your life better and more fulfilled. The final book I have here, I feel like I'm talking very like as if I'm dying. I'm like, you have to read it. Anyway, the final book I have is actually sort of similar to If We Were Villains. Wow. Can you tell I've been in school all day? Whew. Anyway, that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I have read this copy. This is about a group of students who are studying Greek in university, like ancient Greek and stuff, and they basically, like, they kill one of their, like, friends or whatever. Like, it's the first thing you get to find out is the fact that they killed this guy. And it's sort of like If We Were Villains, like, it's a retelling in a way, because the main character is telling us about what happened, just like the main character in We Were Villains is telling the cop what happened. Quite similar, but like entirely different at the same time, because like these characters, oops, sorry, I just kicked the thing you're standing on. These characters are very unlikable, a lot more unlikable than the ones in If We Were Villains were. And you're not necessarily rooting for them in the same way, and I think that's good. This is like a very pretentious book, and like it knows it. Like the author is aware of it. Like it's supposed to be. The prose is beautiful. I definitely flew through this quickly, like more quickly than I did If We Were Villains, even though it took me longer to read this because I kept putting it down because I was like in a busy time. But like once I actually picked it up, I had to read a lot of it because I couldn't put it down. This is actually the most recent one of the books that I read. I read it in, I think I finished it in July. Could be wrong. It's just, if you, I don't know what I was gonna say. Those were my top 5 books that I read at age 22, and I actually have a little bit of an analysis here to throw in before I go be 23. I think these books are like a pretty good way to sort of like see the way my reading style has changed in the past year. I still read a lot of YA, a lot of YA contemporary, because I really like that still, but you can tell that the YA books are not the ones that ended up on this list. They're not the ones that was stuck in my mind the most. I've read some good YA books this year, but they were not the ones that I can't stop thinking about. And I think that's interesting. Like, I'm not shitting on YA, obviously. I read a lot of YA. Like, a lot of my favorite books are YA. It's just that at age 22, it just happened to not be the books that I just couldn't let go of, you know? Anyway, did I tell you that Karismasamhället was in Swedish? Because it is. I am gonna go now because I made dinner and I haven't eaten it yet and I'm hungry. I feel like this video was a mess, but it's fine because it's my birthday and I can do that. It's not my birthday when you're watching this, by the way. It's like the day before. I mean, you could watch this whenever. I'm uploading this the day after my birthday, hopefully. I'm gonna take my birthday flowers for myself and my wonderful books and go. I'm tired. I have to go get up so early tomorrow. Anyway, see y'all on the flip side.